You might be asking, why did I change the theme music to the intro? Well, at the end of the day, I didn't really have much of a decision because yesterday's episode I uploaded was copyrighted. So, I don't know what to tell you there. I don't know why it was copyrighted, simply because on my software that I use, to make my thumbnails, to make my, my intros, outros, things like that, I have a monthly subscription to it, and they have different audio there, so I was assuming, okay, that's coming with it, that I have the right to use that. But apparently I don't, because I was copyrighted by YouTube with it. So we're just kind of going with the basic theme again for right now until I find a new theme to, be a part of this channel and to plug into the intro. So that's really the reason why, if any of you might be wondering, because I really enjoyed the theme to the new intro, but it is what it is. How we doing, everybody? Saturday, it is September 11th. We all know what this day is as well. Just a day that is unbelievable. It's crazy with 9/11, man, because I was born in 1998, so obviously I don't have really a memory on that day, as I'm sure some of you do, and as many in this world do. Unbelievable. Just always every time I see, whether if it's on this day or even on different days, just any time, I always kind of get chills and stuff like that, seeing, footage or about people covering it and stuff like that. I mean, unimaginable, honestly. So, lifting everybody up, sending positive thoughts and just, prayers, things like that, thinking about everybody who has been impacted by this day today, man. It's just a really sad, it is. It's really sad. It's really sad, and it's a day, obviously, that will never, ever be forgotten, ever. And, so I'm just thinking about everybody. So to everybody that was affected by this day that happened 20 years ago, obviously thinking about you, heart is out to you. Just praying for comfort, praying for all you guys through this time, because it's not easy. It's not easy, especially as this day comes, every year and things like that. So thinking about everybody involved in that, and it's just a day that nobody's ever going to forget or anything like that. But yeah, so this is going to be your official Saturday, September 11th is the day today, like I said. This is the official Steelers-Bills game preview and predictions. Yes, I will add kind of my predictions toward the end of the show. But really, before we kind of go into really kind of previewing this game, and I guess really putting our thoughts, putting our, everything, our minds into work and everything, involving this game at 1 o'clock tomorrow, I want to just kind of go over some brief news. I'm going to go over the injury reports as well. As of now, nothing's official yet until tomorrow. But obviously, big news. I briefly covered this on yesterday's show. If you've missed yesterday's show, feel free to tune into that. We went about 50 minutes or so, just really kind of talking about football being back, the Thursday night game, kind of going over college football as that's happening today. Talking about the Toronto Blue Jays. So if you're interested in that, check that out. That was on the channel yesterday. I don't know how much YouTube's going to push that video because I was copyrighted on that, so I really don't know. But nonetheless, guys, let's just kind of get rolling here and everything about. So I briefly talked about the TJ Watt contract extension with the Steelers yesterday, briefly, because I didn't want to go too in-depth on it because I wanted to kind of save that for this show, as obviously, rightfully so. So TJ Watt finally... We know this happened, what day this happened? Thursday, I think this happened on Thursday. TJ Watt finally got the contract extension us Steeler fans were hoping he would get. Obviously, he was hoping to get. His agents that obviously the Steelers wanted to get done. Finally happened, man, and it happened at the very 11 o'clock hour, pretty much. Paraphrasing that, hyperbole, you guys kind of get the imagery. Heck, Mike Tomlin even said that. So, but anyway, this obviously, everybody knows this was a deal that needed to get done. And as time was kind of winding down, I was getting kind of concerned, and I was starting to kind of have doubts. Like, you know what, dude? Like, this is what the Steelers do in the sense of their business and their operation, and we've seen these things with Bell, we've seen these things with Bud Dupree. Now, this isn't the same situation. It's completely different with TJ Watt, obviously. But we've seen a lot of times where, you know, they were trying to get extensions done over the last X amount of years, and things just kind of fell apart and didn't work out. So that was kind of playing in my mind too. But at the same time, there was still a part of me that, like, this has to get done. There's no way they don't get it done. And it happened. I was on Twitter. I've kind of been on Twitter really leading up to this. I would kind of be on Twitter, really just a good bit, just seeing, because that's really where I get all my news from. And, nothing was happening. So then it was like 5 o'clock around there on Thursday. And Thursday evening, I was having some Chipotle. And after I finished with Chipotle, I went on Twitter and I saw it about, 10 minutes after it happened. So I'm like, all right, this is great. Awesome. This is what we were hoping for. This is what needed to be done. And, the Steelers do business a different way than a lot of teams do. They structure their contracts differently. They like to put a lot of money into signing bonuses rather than just straight up guaranteed money on top of their contracts. They don't like to put guarantees out there outside of really the first year, and they don't like to load up contracts with a whole lot of guaranteed money either. So, but we've been seeing really the last several years at least, we've seen it's changing. The changing of the game's different, man. And we're seeing that, players want that guaranteed money, which is completely understandable. And just as after you've seen these injuries with the Ravens, it's like this is the reason why. This is why. Injuries we've seen last year, injuries we've seen over the years. It's the changing of the game, man. And that's the way it is. And the Steelers, it's not that the Steelers even have to change their business. I mean, they've gone about things a certain way, and they've been very successful as a team, obviously. They're one of the most successful, stable, consistent franchises in the history of the league. So, yeah, it's not that the Steelers need to necessarily change their business. It's not that. But it's when you have talent like TJ Watt, those are people who you make exceptions to. Those are people you kind of break away from the standard of your business model for, because you have to keep face of the team, cornerstone of the team. You have to keep guys like that. You pay elite talent, elite money. That's the way it is. That's the way it has to go. And that's the way contracts have changed over the years in the NFL. Players wanting more guaranteed money has changed over the years, and that's the way it has to go. That's the way it has to go. Now we see a guy like Minkah Fitzpatrick as well, who's going to be up for a contract soon, probably next year. And, he even said, too, he's paying attention to this whole process and stuff like that. You don't want something that's going to turn a guy like that away. You know what I mean? So it's great that this got done. Minkah sees that. The Steelers went out of their way to take care of that, that guy. The same should be applied to him. We saw guys like a Cam. We saw guys like, we've seen a lot of support from players or people on Instagram. We saw Joe Hayden talking about paying TJ Watt. Big Ben, was saying, you gotta pay the guy. And, I don't know how much of an effect that played, but that's the thing. You have leaders of the team. You have guys on your team saying that it needed to be done. And I know 100% the Steelers obviously wanted that too, but we know they go about business a different way than a lot of teams do. But I was really glad to see that they kind of changed. Well, not changed, but they finally kind of broke away from that model, and they gave TJ Watt what needed, what he wanted. They gave TJ Watt, they did right by him, and that's what needed to be done about that. Now, there was a story kind of shortly after this contract extension, not shortly after, but later on into the evening, where Adam Schefter said that it was that TJ's agents thought they could get even more money out of him. Now, TJ signed, it was a 4-year, 5-year on top of this year, $112 million extension, $28 million a year, with $80 million in fully guarantees and a $36 signing bonus on top of everything. That's awesome. But his agent said, no, we can get you more money. But TJ overruled them. He said, no, And he even said this in his press conference. Now, he didn't dive into the details that I'm going to tell you right now, in case you missed this. But he overruled his agents. He walked into Art Rooney's office, shook his hand, told him we have a deal, and said, I got to go work out. That is true Pittsburgh Steeler, man. Every Steeler fan, that's a beautiful thing to see, and I just thought that was a really cool kind of detail in regards of that, man. And, but it's, and this is something, too, where after we, really after seeing this happen, this is something where, again, the Steelers aren't going to, they're not changing their business model or anything like that, but they broke away from really that mold for TJ Watt because they know that they had to get that done. They know they had to get that deal done, and they did right by him, which was great, and obviously they needed to, and TJ Watt, he was very happy about it, very excited as well. So if you missed his press conference, you're a Steeler fan, you probably want to watch that. But I really think outside that deal happening, that was really it, because once we start seeing guys like Minka and some other really big elite talent, we can, I think, kind of have some confidence and rest in, like, guys like that will be taken care of. So it was definitely a good stepping stone, I felt like, in regards of that direction for the Steelers business-wise, because those are things you have to do for guys like that. I want to kind of go over the injury report here for both sides real quick. So now this is current as it stands. Now, Tyson Alualu for the Steelers, Kendrick Green and Alex Highsmith have been on the injury report, but as of yesterday, all three are full to go. Highsmith was a full participant today, or yesterday. He was a full participant Friday. He's fully to go. Kendrick Green, Alualu, all of them are playing. We obviously know that Tuitt is not playing. I kind of discussed this in last week, so I'm not really going to kind of go back into detail on that, but hopefully we can see him after week 3. Now for the Bills side. Let me pull up the Bills side. So now this was as of yesterday that we see. So defensive tackle star, I honestly have a very hard time pronouncing his last name. You know who I'm talking about. But he's a pretty solid player for Buffalo, man. And I read that he's ruled out for this game. So obviously that's not really ideal for the start of the season for the Bills. I'm not really going to sure if they're going to kind of rotate guys in and out or if they're just going to kind of stick with one guy to replace him. I really don't know on that. But as of yesterday, it was reported he is a no-go for this game. Now, Emmanuel Sanders has been limited in practice with a foot. Wide receiver Isaiah McKenzie, defense tackle Harrison Phillips, cornerback Teron Johnson. All of them have been full participants as they were on the injury list earlier. They're full participants. They should be good to go. So that's really not really many guys really on the Bills injury list, but that definitely is with him being out with their star defensive tackle, no pun intended, being out. That obviously isn't ideal. But we'll see. We'll see if they're going to kind of rotate guys. We'll see if they're just going to stick one guy in there. I don't know. But that's the current, really not much of an injury report either side. Now, the over-under for this game is very interesting. So, Bills are obviously favored. Last time I looked, let me see. So, they're favored. Their spread, Vegas' spread, is at 6.5 for the Bills. I believe let me see here. Where's the over-under at? It's the over-under. Hold on. Let me check it on my phone because I obviously have the app on my phone because I sports bet. So let me look real quick. I just can't remember exactly where they had it. Hold on. Okay. So yeah. So Bills are favored 6.5 spreads. Money line minus 290 for Buffalo, plus 235 for Pittsburgh. The over-under's at 48.5. So I don't know how much of you guys really are into sports betting or looking at odds or things like that. Obviously, sports bettor myself, I always kind of look at those things too. But anyway, that is the current money line. That is the current betting situation for this game. Looking at the 48.5, I can see it going over, but honestly, I don't really think this game's going to be too high scoring. I don't think it's going to be a low scoring game like what we saw a couple years ago, Sunday night, 17-10 or whatever it was. I could see them maybe hitting that over, but I don't think this is going to be like a shootout or, each team goes 30 plus. I don't see that happening. But I did want to just kind of go over quickly those odds, the injury report, some of the news coming out of the Steelers side. Now, getting into this game, this is, I honestly think some people kind of overlook this game in the sense of, intriguing matchups week one. As a Steeler fan, I'm kind of annoyed that this is the 7th straight year they've had their first game on the road, but it is what it is. What we saw last year, we know the Steelers, or the Bills have beat the Steelers the last 2 years. We know last year as well. They handled them pretty well. Had a couple turnovers off of Big Ben. I really think and I'm going to go on both sides here, so I'm not just going to be talking about the Steelers. I'm obviously going to be talking about Buffalo. So any one of you who's a Buffalo fan, I will be getting into detail as well with Buffalo. I'm going to be going back and forth. Starting on the Steelers side, I really think that the key, a few key things for them, I think that for them to win this game, I think is one, this is obvious. Get a running game going, man. With looking at their current offensive line, now maybe with the defensive tackle out for Buffalo, that could kind of help them maybe get some push up front a little bit more. The Steelers' left side of the offensive line is their strongest. If you can really get that left side of the offensive line going, you can have some success there. But you have to do that. I think you really have to get Najee Harris going. You have to get... You can't be... I don't want to see the Steelers be coming out, pass heavy again and things like that. No, we don't need that. We don't need to see that. We don't want to see it. Really, against this Buffalo team, I think if you're able to get that running game with Najee Harris going, that's going to make the offense that much more effective. That's going to make Big Ben that much more effective. And I've been saying that all year as well. But for this game in particular, against a team like Buffalo, that's what's going to have to happen. Buffalo has a pretty nice secondary. They've worked on the pass rush a little bit. But I really think that's what you got to do. Number 2, I think keeping Josh Allen off the field, winning the time of possession game. Josh Allen, we know he might arguably have the best arm in the NFL in regards of having a cannon. He absolutely has that. Josh Allen finally had a breakout season last year. He wasn't very promising at all his first 2 years. But last year, he had an MVP caliber season. I'm sure he will top that off again this year. There's a lot of promise for him. And definitely the quarterback that Buffalo has obviously been wanting to finally get over all these years, probably since Jim Kelly. So I really think kind of keeping Josh Allen, keeping that Buffalo offense off the field, it might kind of sound like a typical, kind of take. But I really think maybe winning that time of possession game, the Steelers being able to get those yards, being able to get that extra yards, those extra plays, being able to keep chains going, keep drives moving. I really think that will help. That might kind of help take the crowd out of it as well. Tiring out the defense. I really think that's what could definitely be a big part if that can happen. I think number 3 is really the Steelers secondary, really limiting big plays down the field, really getting in on Stephon Diggs, watching out for Cole Beasley. You know what I'm saying? He likes to work the middle of the field too, but I think limiting plays down the field and things like that is definitely a big thing for the secondary because Buffalo's rushing attack, I really don't know what to think about it. It seems like they're probably going to use Zach Moss and Devin Singletary really kind of as a split backfield, rotate them in and out. We know their stronghold of the game is their passing attack. We know that. Josh Allen's arm, their wide receivers. We know that. We know the Bills have a pretty good offense. I think just, if you're able to contain Josh Allen from getting that ball down the field and making big plays down the field, I really think that can help them do good. Now, Josh Allen, sure, can he attack the middle field? Sure, he can. But the Steelers, they don't have no slouch in the middle of the field now, and I'll get into that in a minute because we're going to look back at last year's game. But I really think those are 3 things that come to my mind, and sure, I can probably ramble on about a couple other things, but those 3 things in particular I think are for the Steelers to win this game. Doesn't matter. Could be close, could be a blowout, I don't care. For them to win this game, I think those are the 3 key things that they got to do. Contain Josh Allen's arm down the field at number 3. Number 2, what did I say number 2 was? Time of possession. Try to win that time of possession. Try to tire out that defense. Keep Josh Allen off the field. Number 1, get the running game going. Move those chains. Get movement up front, especially get that left side of the offensive line going because that's your strongest side. Now, let's switch it over to Buffalo's side for Buffalo to win this game. What does Buffalo need to do to win this game? I think one thing that they could do is strictly for Josh Allen, make those big plays, man. Make those big plays, make that big yardage. I know it's kind of reminiscent of the last point I made, but I think I'm going to put that at maybe not necessarily number 1, but I think if Josh Allen does get going and gets connection, whether it's with Stephon Diggs, Sanders if he's in, because we know Sanders can work the field too. Maybe Knox, if he kind of has some seam routes or maybe a post up in the middle of the field, whatever. I think Josh Allen, really gaining some big plays down the field and getting that yardage, I think could definitely play a big part in regards of, really kind of getting a feel for the Steelers secondary. It's some of it we're not really sure what to expect. Some of it we already kind of know. But if Josh Allen successfully, kind of gets past that secondary, I think that they could end up scoring a good bit of points and, getting off on early. I think really the main thing for me is keeping the Steelers one-dimensional, just like what we saw last year. I think maybe it's kind of more let Big Ben beat you, because we saw what happened with the Steelers offense last year, and if you can, if you eliminate a running game from them, I really think, Buffalo could really have an edge on the defensive side of the ball, especially because, you're going to make it one-dimensional again. We saw what happened last year, so maybe that might be something of, we saw how this team was last year. We know they've added a little bit. We know that they're working on their running game again. They bring in Harris. They kind of retooled their offensive line. It's not that I don't think they're doubting Big Ben, nor should they. But I think it's something where, okay, let's try to let him beat us this time on the deep passes, on getting the ball down the field, and that might be something for that. So I think I honestly think I might put this at number 1. This is going to be number 1. I think for the Buffalo Bills is keeping the Steelers offense one-dimensional, not getting a running game going, kind of reminiscent to last year, and trying to see how you can defend Big Ben and let him try to air the ball down the field and really see, kind of get a feel for him, kind of get a feel of where he's at right now, and really how he can execute on the offensive side, all those different kind of things. So I think I'm putting that at number 1. I'm putting that number 1 at Buffalo. Don't let Najee Harris get going. Keep the Steelers one-dimensional, and let's let them try to attack us on the deep passes, on getting the ball down the field. Number 2, as I said, Josh Allen getting going, getting him connecting with his guys down the field, getting some big yardage, stuff like that, trying to get past the Steelers secondary, because the Steelers pass rush is going to be all over him. Just saying. Number 3 for Buffalo, man, I think it might honestly be a turnover battle. If they can force maybe some turnovers or some tip passes on Big Ben, because we know that he's had a problem really the last few years with his tip passes, and we saw that last year. I don't know why. He's 6'5". I don't know why. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me, but I think maybe number 3 is being able to maybe get a couple turnovers on the Steelers offense, because if you're able to do that, you know that you can really, you have a very productive offense. So if you're able to kind of win that turnover battle, if you're able to get one turnover, a couple turnovers, heck, I mean, even, if you get more than that, I don't know, probably not, but still, if you can win that, win that area there on the turnovers, put the Bills offense in a good spot, they can definitely put up some good points, because it's kind of different if you're a defense, you're a pretty solid defense maybe. For example, just generally speaking, a team could be a pretty solid defense and their offense is kind of piss poor, average. More times than not, the offense probably isn't going to take advantage of that. But with Buffalo's offense, those are things that they can definitely do, being in good field position, getting the ball in the end zone. So I think if that happens, it could end up being maybe a lopsided game. But I think those are my three takeaways for this game, for the Bills, for the Steelers, in regards of how the Steelers can win this game, how the Bills can win this game. Obviously, I want the Steelers to win. Obviously, look at the background. What's that tell you? But yeah, I'm very excited about this game. Now, I think the Bills should be a little concerned. I mean, the Steelers have the best front seven pass rush aside, arguably in the NFL. And having TJ Watt there, they bring in a guy like Melvin Ingram. You have Alex Highsmith, who's a stud himself. Cam Hayward up there. No to it. Yes, it sucks, but they're going to intermingle, I'm sure, some different guys. The Steelers definitely could get to Josh Allen, and that would probably be my fourth one if I'd put there as well, just being able, for the Steelers to win this game. Get to Josh Allen, get those tackles for loss, push them back in the field, things like that, and trust your secondary to stop them if they have to kind of work their way, if it's like a 3rd and 12, 3rd and 14, 3rd and 20, whatever it might be. I don't know. But yeah, I really think the Steelers pass rush can really, Bills' offensive line might have a little issue in regards of that Steelers pass rush because it's obviously good. But looking at last year's game with the Bills, man, and the Steelers. So, Buffalo, we know Buffalo last year had a great year. We know they lost in the AFC Championship. Not a very pretty game for them. But we know the team was led by Josh Allen, by their passing game, everything like that. I do like Micah Hyde. I do like Trey White. I like some guys they got back there. Tremaine Edmonds, I like him in the middle. They got a plethora of guys in that defense. Now, their defense isn't a top 10 defense. I think their defense is more of a middle of the pack. It can make some plays. It can get some turnovers, sure. But looking at last year's game, the Steelers, on the Steelers side, so we know up to this game, we know the Steelers were kind of on the downfall. We know that they were struggling a lot. They were struggling offensively. I wonder why. But they did have key injuries this game. There's no Joe Hayden this game. Devin Bush was out. They had Avery Williamson and I believe Marcus Allen were pretty much starting on the inside. I don't even think Robert Spillane played this game, did he? I might be wrong on that. They didn't, again, they were very one-dimensional with the running game. Now when you look at it this year, now they have a guy like Najee Harris who's an electric, who's a, how do I want to word it? He's a game-changing running back. That's really what he is. Game-changing running back. And he's a guy that can do a plethora of things, not just run the ball, but he's great at breaking tackles. He's great at getting extra yardage. You know what I mean? Fighting for those extra yards. He's going to be a big element in the passing game. That's something they did not have last year. And obviously I'm saying this from a Steeler fan perspective here because as I'm a Steeler fan, I'm gonna have that perspective too. Now you have a Joe Hayden. Right? Now you have a Joe Hayden this year. Now you have two guys in the middle of the field that you did not have last year. You have Avery Williamson and Marcus Allen playing inside linebacker against Josh Allen in that offense. Now you have Joe Schobert, who they went out and they got, who's great in coverage, who's a great coverage inside linebacker. You got Devin Bush, sideline to sideline guy. He can get to the, he can make those open tackles. He can get to the running back. He can drop back and make some plays, which he does need to get a little bit better at. We'll see. It is his first game back. We'll see how it goes. But having those two guys in the middle, those two guys really, a former Pro Bowler and Joe Schobert, who is very well known for his coverage skills, who can pick off the quarterback, who can make plays on the ball. Devin Bush, who, is a upcoming top inside linebacker in this league, long as he's healthy. That's a 10 out of 10 times upgrade over what they had last year. So the Steelers are in a way better position to face this Buffalo team than they were last year. Big Ben, he looks a lot healthier than he was at that point in time at the end of the year last year. New offensive coordinator, new offensive line, younger, more athletic, more physical. I don't see any reason why the Steelers could not stay competitive in this game. I don't see any reason why they couldn't have a chance at winning this game. I think they do have a chance. But when you really put those things in perspective, I really think that helps the Steelers out much more against Josh Allen than what they had last year. So really, I guess what I'm kind of expecting out of this game, I don't think it's going to be that high scoring of a game. I could see both teams kind of score in the 20s, it maybe being a 3-point win, 4-point win for either team. I don't know. I mean, yes, I am going to go with the Buffalo Bills to win this game. It's the way it is. It's Buffalo. Buffalo is, they've proven. Look at last year. You have a guy in Josh Allen who MVP caliber kind of talent right now. A favorite to win it this year. You have a very polarizing offense. You don't have a slouch of a defense either, really, for the Bills. I'm not really sure how the rushing game is going to go for them. But, you have to give credit where credit's due. And where Buffalo stands, obviously, they are the better team. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that just because you're the better team, you're going to win. Anything can happen. But I think really for those things is probably why I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills. But I would not be surprised either if the Steelers won this game. And this isn't me writing the Steelers off saying they have no chance. They absolutely do have a chance. But I am going to go Buffalo because home, you're going to have a great atmosphere. You're going to have your crowd back. Very good offense, productive offense. Defense isn't shabby at all by any means. They're the better team, man. They're the better team right now. And going into the year, But with the Steelers, I definitely think the Steelers have a chance too because they're going to have guys on defense that they did not have last year when they played Buffalo. Big Ben looks healthy. He looks great. He looks a lot different from what we've seen him in camp, what we saw him in the preseason. A lot different than what we saw at week 14, whatever week it was when they played Buffalo last year. The Steelers have a new O-line. They have Najee Harris now, who's going to be a big element offensively either way. Matt Canada, new offensive coordinator. They have a top 3 defense. So definitely, I don't see how anybody could overlook the Steelers in this game. I don't think anybody should overlook the Steelers in this game. I don't think Buffalo is. Not at all. Not at all. I even listened to Josh Allen's press conference a little bit the other day. So anybody overlooking this team going in week 1 or saying they don't have a chance, I think you're completely wrong. I think it's going to be a close game. I could see it being a 3 or 4 point game maybe. I think Big Ben, I think he's going to be productive. I think he's going to have a good showing. I think, they will be able to get Harris going in some kind of way. Hopefully they can get him going in a big way. But I think Harris will at least be, I think he'll be productive in the running game much more than we saw last year in this first game. To what extent, I don't know. I think he's going to be used very well in the passing game as well. I'm very excited to see the new offense going. But really, what I'm expecting out of this, I'm expecting Big Ben to obviously be better than what we've last saw him. I think Big Ben's going to be effective. I think with Harris, as long as Harris gets going, I think that's going to make Big Ben, that's going to make the offense much more effective as well. I think the defense is going to do a good job at containing the run aspect of Buffalo as the Steelers, for the most part, we're good at that last year. I expect them to get some good pressure on Josh Allen. I think it's really just going to come down to secondary, making plays, limiting Stephon Diggs, making those big plays, trying to limit Josh Allen. And the pass rush will kind of help that too. But, really not letting Diggs get too far ahead, not letting Diggs take off, not letting that Allen-Diggs connection heat up, I think is big. Limiting the plays down the field from Josh Allen because we know he's going to air that ball out. We know he's going to get the ball down the field. That's what I think that needs to happen, as I talked about 5-10 minutes ago. But yeah, I don't think anyone should be overlooking them. They're a different team than what they were last year when they saw Buffalo, and I think that's the case. Buffalo this year, I'm not really sure. I kind of want to just pull up their squad real quick going into week 1. Let me pull up their depth chart because I don't think Buffalo, it doesn't really seem like Buffalo really did anything too crazy in regards of adding to their team or really changing the dynamic of anything. So, it's really looking like the same team last year offensively. We know they bring in Emmanuel Sanders. But now defensively, you got Jerry Hughes, star. Yep, it says that he's listed out. You have Gregory Rousseau, who you've drafted, so I'm sure he might see some time. Ed Oliver, Mario Addison's still there. Tremaine Edmonds, Matt Milano's still there. Trey White, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, and Levi Wallace. Seems like Levi Wallace. Click on Levi Wallace. I'm just kind of interested to see everything he did last year. So this is his 4th year now, and 2020. Regular season, 34 tackles, had a couple picks. That's what I'm saying. Like, looking at the Bills' secondary, I do like their secondary. They don't have a bad secondary at all. In my opinion, and maybe if you're a Bills fan watching this, maybe you might think I'm wrong on this, but I think their secondary is the more stronger part of their defense, maybe. And but that's what I'm saying. Looking at the Bills team, I really think that we can really expect the same Bills team we saw last year. They didn't really make any changes to this team. I mean, there really isn't anything to change anyway. They made it to the AFC Championship, highly productive offense. Defensively, you do want to get better, I think, if you're the Buffalo Bills, absolutely. But I still think they're around a middle-of-the-pack defense, and that's, I think, good enough to really be successful as a team, especially with how good their offense is. But that's what I'm saying. And now you look at the Steelers, they're really a different team. Big Ben's healthier. Like I said, he's better. You have these guys now who were injured last game who are back for week 1 here. You bring in Joe Schobert to really strengthen that middle of the field, which should obviously be a big part in regards of containing those passes there that Josh Allen might be targeting, a Dawson Knox or a Cole Beasley or heck of Diggs. I really don't know. So yeah, I mean, looking at really what Buffalo's going into with right now, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Buffalo, we know that they're the favorite to win the AFC East. If you saw my division-by-division breakdown last week, I had them winning about 13 games. I think that they're going to be a really good team again this year. Gregory Rousseau, we'll see how he plays. First pick. AJ Epenesa is still there. Epinesa, however you say his name, first pick from a few years ago. He's still there. I'm not really sure. Let me even click on his name. I mean, I don't really think he's really done much of anything, honestly. Like, this is his, yeah, I mean, how many years has he played now? I think this is his 3rd year. Yeah, see, last year, I mean, he wasn't really, was he hurt last year? I mean, I don't know. I mean, he had 1 pass defended. He had 14 total tackles, 1 sack. I mean, not really what you want from your first-round pick. Yeah, I mean, the Bills' pass rush, they might be able, like, I think the Bills' pass rush will be able to be that's one thing I'm looking at, too, right there, is the pass protection from the offensive line. When, looking at, you have a guy like Mario Addison, you have a guy like Ed Oliver, Jerry Hughes there. I'm sure Harrison Phillips will probably be taking Starr's place. I'm not sure how much they're going to rotate Greg Rousseau in. Vernon Butler, I really don't know. AJ Klein. I mean, guys like that are definitely going to be getting to the, they're definitely looking to take advantage of this very young Steelers inexperienced offensive line right now. And that's definitely another thing, too, that I think is, you could add to the list for, in regards of a key take in regards of Buffalo winning this game as well, really attacking that young offensive line and getting to Ben. That's one thing I'm interested in looking at is the offense, how the Steelers' pass protection is going to pan up against their pass rush. Now, Buffalo's pass rush, I don't think it's top tier by any means, but I think that it's, it's tolerable, I think. I mean, I really, let me see. I can't even remember. Yeah, I mean, so, like last year, their defense did enough for them to really be a successful team. Like I said, they're a team that can create turnovers. They have some guys there that can get to the quarterback. Different things of that kind of nature. So I think really that's a key aspect as well that I did not mention. Just really seeing how they're going to try to get to Big Ben and really utilizing that and that attack to get past this young offensive line. And definitely as a Steeler fan, that is a question mark that is kind of concerning too, and something to look out for. But yeah, so really Buffalo going in with the same team this year, really not many changes, really outside of some draft picks, and there wasn't really anything they needed to change. They're a good team. They're a top team in the AFC. They're going to be a obviously their goal is a Super Bowl and competing with Kansas City and, maybe a couple of the other teams, things like that. So, yeah, that's the thing. I do like Buffalo this year. I do like them again. I think that they're definitely going to be a double-digit win team, probably win their AFC East division, and make a run to the playoffs. Absolutely. I think Josh Allen can definitely win MVP. So that's the thing. There was really no reason for them to really change anything really around or the dynamic of their team. I mean, look how successful they were last year. So really outside of their draft picks, we're really kind of going with the same Buffalo team week 1 here. But like I said, with the Steelers, it's kind of a different aspect, I think, and just kind of a different look Buffalo might be seeing this week, especially, on the offensive side for Buffalo, seeing Schobert there, Bush is back. You got two inside linebackers that were not there last year, as I mentioned. So the Steelers have guys back that weren't playing last year, and like I said, I don't think anybody should be looking over the Steelers. I understand why, Buffalo is the favorite to win this game, as they should be, and why I said they'll probably win this game. But as I said too, I think this is going to be pretty close. I think this is going to be a competitive game between the two, and we'll see what happens. It's definitely going to be fairly interesting. So let me know in the comments your guys' thoughts. You guys think Buffalo's going to take? You guys think that are going to win? You think the Steelers are going to win? How you think Josh Allen's going to fare up against the Steelers D? I think the Steelers D is going to fare up against Josh Allen. How do you think Big Ben's going to look? Steelers offense, anything like that. So let me know your thoughts in the comments on everything of that kind of nature. But I really think that, for me as a Steeler fan, I'm really excited to see the new offense intact. I'm interested to see how this offensive line is going to do, trying to open up holes for Najee Harris, their pass protection. And I think they got to get Deontay Johnson going, man. Really, I mean, Deontay Johnson's so good at yards after the catch, separation, breaking away from guys. I think out of anybody on that offense, I think you got to get Deontay Johnson going. I really do. You got to get him hot. You got to get him. Hopefully he can hang on to the ball. But I think if you can get a guy like that going, get that separation from guys in the open field, that can definitely be a big part of the Steelers' offense this game and working them up the field. And as well, like I said, really getting Harris going, because that's going to make their offense that much more effective. That's going to make things much more interesting for them offensively, and being able to attack the open field, being able to get the ball down the field as well, and utilizing guys in a different way. I think those are really key aspects for the Steelers offensively in regards of attacking really the Steelers defense. Protect Ben. If you're the Steelers, Steelers offensive line, protect Ben, limit that pressure that Buffalo we know they're going to send, because the Steelers, it's a young and inexperienced offensive line, really. Protect, limit that. Get physical up front. Utilize that left side. Get Najee Harris going. We're obviously going to see the Matt Canada offense in play. That's going to make life much easier for Big Ben in regards to getting it to quarterbacks and getting points on the board, things of that nature. So I think those are really key aspects in regards to the Steelers' offense to be productive. Get Harris rolling, limit that pressure, work that left side. You know what I mean? Get Deontay Johnson rolling. I think those are really key aspects for them. And like I said, defensively, get the pressure on Josh Allen. Let him maybe there's times where you get really good pressure on him. He's going to make he's going to try to make a play down the field, and you're going to have a secondary there to break that pass up or pick that pass off. Get that pressure on Josh Allen. Get those tackles for loss. Get those sacks on him. We know the Steelers can do that. They led the league in sacks last year. They pretty much do every year, or at least are at the very top every year. So get that pressure on Josh Allen from a defensive standpoint for them. Get the pressure on Josh Allen. Limit big plays down the field. I really think those are key things for their defense. I really do. And I think if they can do that aspect, you're going to, you can try to get him off the field a little quicker. You can limit, like I said, limit those points on the board from that happening, from any big plays happening or things like that, because we know Josh Allen likes to do that. So I think Steelers defensively, that's what you got to do. And as I mentioned with Buffalo's side of the ball, offensively, I'm sure they're going to try to maybe get a run game going. I don't know how successfully, but we know they're going to be much more pass heavy. Buffalo's side of the ball, got to get those big plays down the field if you're Josh Allen against the Steelers secondary. Steelers secondary is no slouch. Now, James Pierre, we're going to see what happens here. Cam Sutton, we know what he can do in the slot as well. So those are kind of the things. They might try to attack James Pierre, much more than a Joe Hayden, because James Pierre is kind of an inexperienced guy. This is really his first year as a starter. Well, it is his first year as a starter, but this is really his first game as a starter. So, they might try to attack him, So if you're the Bills, you might want to try to look at attacking James Pierre. You might want to, obviously, if you're Josh Allen, you want to get the ball down the field. You want to make those big plays. I also think if you're the Buffalo's offense, again, you want to limit that pressure from the Steelers' rush attack, because it's, rushing attack on defense, because we know that it's arguably the best in the NFL. So that's definitely a thing that Buffalo's pass protection needs to do, and I think the Steelers could definitely win that battle too, because they're gonna be moving Melvin Ingram into spots. TJ, Alex Highsmith. Who knows? They might send Bush up there. They could send maybe Edmonds up there. Hayward, obviously. Alu. We'll see what, the rotation at the other side on the defensive end side that they do. So I think those are really the two things for Buffalo. Try to limit that pressure for Josh Allen. Kind of I said the same thing with Big Ben. And then, you obviously want to be able to work that ball down the field if you're Josh Allen in Buffalo. Because if you're not really clicking there or anything like that, it could be a long day because we know that's Josh Allen's play type, that cannon arm, letting that ball loose and things like that. And if the Steelers are kind of limiting that, it could kind of be not really the day you want offensively. So, obviously, as a Steeler fan, I obviously hope they win. I hope they really get to Josh Allen and that they can really get Najee Harris going and that we can really see a productive offense in play for the Steelers team. So I would love to see it. I'd love to see him win, especially just because the amount of people overlooking him and the amount of people that have kind of written him off. Yes, there have been some more people backtracking. It's too late, my friend. It's too late. But I love to see it, especially week 1, because the Steelers really need to win. The Steelers really need to win and take advantage of this schedule early on, because early on, aside from this game and I guess Green Bay, they have a lot of favorable games early on and kind of creeping up into the middle. But once they get to the end, that's where it's difficult. And that's where it might play in regards to the division and playoff spot for all 3 divisions, or for all 3 teams in the division. So if they can win these favorable games early on and really get ahead, that would do them good. But it's going to be a fun game. I think a close game, competitive game. And I'm excited to see it play out, man. I'm just really happy football's back. So hopefully Steelers win this game. Here we go, Steelers, baby. And we'll see if we'll see how these things come into play. The new offense and Harris and Big Ben and really being able to get to Josh Allen and try to limit those plays down the field. So I don't know. I'm excited to see it. It's going to be a great atmosphere as well for the Bills and things like that. So it'll be fun. But anyway, that's the Steelers preview for Sunday, week 1. Kind of some predictions there at the end in regards of, kind of the score. If I'm going to put a score on it, I could see maybe 28-24 Buffalo, maybe 24-21. You know what I mean? If the Steelers win, I think it would honestly be around the same kind of score. So I think that's the kind of game it's going to be. I think Big Ben's going to have a good game. I do. I think, maybe we might see around 250 passing yards. Maybe a couple TDs. I think he's going to be smart with the ball. I think we'll see Harris going. I'm not saying he's going to get over 100 rushing yards because we have to kind of just really see how this offensive line can move in regards of, being able to move up front. We know the Bills, have a, they have a strong DL, man. They have a strong, and not having, Star, whatever his last name is, I can't pronounce it, never have been able to, not having there, he's a stud himself, and not having him there, that could maybe help them much more in the running game, not having a guy like that there as well. But, Harris, I think, we'll see Harris, have some catches. I could see, he could hit over 100 yards. I'd love to see it. But, I think he will be able to get some good yardage and we will be able to see, I think we'll at least be able to see a decent production from the running game this game, and it is week 1. But I think, Harris is going to be a big element, man. He's going to be a big element. I think we'll see Deontay Johnson. As I said, that needs to happen. I think we'll definitely see Big Ben try to get to him early on. We'll probably see some big plays down to Chase Claypool. I like to see James Washington involved a little bit more. Juju's can be interesting as he's going to work on the outside a little bit more this year than last year. Pat Freiermuth is definitely a guy as well that to look out for because I could easily see him, becoming a big target for Big Ben down the field and into the end zone. So we could see that. I think we will get some good pressure on Josh Allen, maybe a couple sacks on him, some tackles for loss, probably just because of how good our defensive pressure is. Hopefully the Steelers can force a turnover and get themselves in good field position. That would be a good thing to do. I am concerned about Diggs, man, that Allen and Diggs connection and the passes to a Cole Beasley, you know what I mean? He kind of likes to work the middle of the field too, but it is better with Schobert there and Bush back, so that's an interesting dynamic. So I really, if I'm making these predictions, man, like I said, I gave you my score, but I think we're going to see production from both teams. I really do. But yeah, I think Big Ben will have a nice game. I honestly think he's going to have a clean game. I do. But again, it's just going to come down to being able to get Harris going in the run game and try to keep that 2 element of your offense going. But I do. I think we're going to get some pressure on Josh Allen. I think we're going to be able to get to him. We might have a couple sacks. Hopefully things like that can force a turnover or a bad play. Maybe Bush or TJ or Minka can force a fumble or something like that, but I think we will see that aspect. We will see some plays down the field, I think, especially, like I said, to Washington, probably, to Chase. Freiermuth is a guy, like I said, to look out for. So I think all those guys will be involved in different ways, too. So I'm expecting, honestly, I think it's going to be good production from both teams and definitely something you kind of want to see the first week. And that's why I think it's also just going to be a pretty close competitive game. So let me know if you guys agree on that and everything like that. So here we go, Steelers. Hopefully they win tomorrow. Fingers crossed. But that's the official preview and predictions, guys, for week 1 of the Steelers and Buffalo Bills. Give this video a thumbs up. If you liked it, hit the subscribe if you'd like to. It really means a lot to me. I'm just trying to keep reaching as many people as I can. And let me know in the comments what you guys think about this game. Steeler fan, Bills fan, let me know what you think about this game. Everybody's welcome here. Even if you're not, let me know what you think about this game, because this is definitely an intriguing week 1 matchup. So that's going to do it, guys, here for episode 36 of In Hindsight for your Saturday. And we will see what happens tomorrow. We'll be back here Monday to recap the game, to go over everything like that for episode 37. And we'll see you then, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy your Saturday, guys. Enjoy your Sunday, as everybody's excited for football Sunday. We'll see you then, guys. Take care.